All right. Now, one of the most important chapters in English, not just grammar, but also in spoken English. Now, grammar, as grammar books and stupid grammar books and sitting behind those, sitting at those desks and pounding away at those books, that's not what I'm talking about today. Grammar for speaking. And the biggest chapter is tenses. The tenses of the verbs. Why are English tenses, the verb tenses, so important? For the simple reason that every single sentence has a verb. A sentence is made up of subject and verb. And the verb, and every verb has a tense. So every time we speak, every sentence we say has a verb in it. Sometimes more than one verb. And the verb, every single verb has a tense. So every sentence could be wrong if we use the wrong verb or the wrong tense. Now, native people use their verbs and tenses in a native manner rather correctly and naturally. But usually language learners will have to learn these sentences and sit down and try so hard to get their tenses right. Now, hopefully, we'll be able to do this together right after this. A quick look at all the tenses at once, because usually in grammar books, you can see 100 pages for all the tenses. Now, I want to look at this within an hour or two, so you need to help me with that. Of course, this is for those people who know the tenses already. It's a review and also an overview and a preview, with the hopes that we'll be able to use them correctly and properly and appropriately in the future. Now, how many tenses are there in the English language? There are
12.
Thank you. 12 tenses. Now, we have how many major tenses do we have? We have
3.
3 major tenses. What are they?
Past, present, future.
Past, present, and future, of course. And every tense has 4 subdivisions. Now, the bad news is 12 tenses. The good news is they're all similar. So if you learn 1-4, we have the same 4 here and the same 4 here. So starting with past, we have simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. So the same thing for present. Simple present or present simple, present continuous or progressive. Progressive and continuous are the same. So present progressive, present perfect progressive, or present perfect continuous. Same thing for future. Simple, simple future, future continuous, or future progressive, future perfect, and future perfect progressive, or continuous. Same. So we have 3 major tenses, 4 divisions for each, and 3 times 4 would be 12. Now, I want to give you one sentence and in 12 different forms. So, I teach every day, right? So I'll start writing this. I teach every day. Where is it? It's a simple present, right?
Yes.
I teach every day. I teach English. Let's say I teach English every day. First of all, I want to see 12 sentences for every tense, and then I want to break down the tenses and look more deeply into the details of every tense, right? Just right now, I'm going to start with 12 sentences, and I'm starting with present. I teach English every day. Now, how about now, right now? Present continuous.
I am teaching.
So I'm teaching English now, right? I am teaching English now. So I am teaching English now. How about present perfect? I have taught English for 20 years. Or since 20 years ago. Yes? I have taught English for 20 years or since 20 years ago. How about present perfect continuous? I have been teaching English for, I would say 5 hours today. 5 hours today, or also for 20 years. And then we want to look at the differences. So simple fast. I taught, yes, simple fast, English yesterday, right? Or maybe last week because I didn't teach yesterday. How about past continuous?
I was teaching.
I was teaching English when my phone rang. My phone rang. Yeah? Or while Mako was learning English. Or while Mako was speaking on her phone. Mako was writing something in Japanese for Asako. While was speaking on her phone. Yeah? Past perfect. I had taught English for 19 years before I moved to Canada. I had taught English for 19 years before I moved to Canada. Yeah? Past perfect. How about past perfect continuous? I had been teaching English for 19 years before I moved to Canada. And then we want to know the difference. Right? We will look at the differences. How about simple future?
I will teach.
I will teach English? Okay, will. For simple future, we have I will or I am going to. I am going to. Which one? I am going to teach English tomorrow. Future continuous. I will be teaching English tomorrow. Future perfect. We have to look at this later. I will have taught. Will have taught. Now I'm going to look at that. That's where things become a little hard, right? Will be teaching, will have taught. When the future perfect continuous, I will have been teaching. That's a little harder. So we're going to look at the tenses. Now, okay. This is just about 12 sentences, 12 tenses. What do I do every day? I teach English. What am I doing now? I'm teaching English right now. What did I do yesterday? I taught English yesterday. What was I doing when you called me? Well, I was teaching English when you called me. I was teaching English while you were driving. You were cooking. You were eating that stuff, the leftovers. Had I taught English before I came to Tamworth, or before I came to Toronto? Yes, for 19 years. So I had taught English before that, I had taught English for 19 years before I moved to town. How long had I been teaching? I had been teaching for 19 years before I came here. So, future. I am going to continue teaching in the future. I will teach, will you teach us? Yes, I will. I will teach you next week. What will you be doing next week? I will be teaching English still. By next week this time, I will have taught for 20 years. Or I will have been teaching for 20 years. Now we want to look at all this. Don't get it all mixed up. I know it just looks, wow, 12 sentences. So I just wanted to put them all together. And then we have some other tenses added to this. Like might have, would have, should have, could have done, would have done, might have done, may have done something. There's a few of those. So that's it. Now I want to wipe this because I want to start talking about one of them individually. You can take a picture of a board, and I can take a picture for you and post it. And you also have the option of watching the video. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the board. And here's the scene when I take a picture of this masterpiece. Yeah. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. I'll post it.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it. So, now, let's see. There are some points about this. And of course, we also want to look at the formula. What's important? I want to start with the simple present. When do we use the tense simple present? It's a so simple present or present simple. I want to start right here. And I want to put simple present here. Or present simple or simple present. Simple, I go to school every day. I do my homework every day. I cook. So this is about what kinds of activities? It's about daily and or habitual routine or routine activities. It's our daily routine, right? Or habitual activities. Routine/activities. Right? So if anyone ever asks you about simple present or present simple, it's routine, right? Habitual. Habits. Present habit. And of course, I go to school. The thing about it is, remember, do and does. Do and does. Right? And I go, you go, he goes. He plays. And then the question is when ES, that's a different question. So what S or ES? You should always remember that as a general rule, whenever we have a word ending in S, SH, CH, X, Z, or Z, we add ES. It's a general rule. If you're adding S or ES. If it's not regular, that's a different story. So, whether it's plural S or third singular, Third singular. Now in grammar, we say third singular for this. Why third singular? I go, you go, he goes. Plural S is chair, chairs. One chair, two chairs. One pen, two pens. That's plural S. So we have plural S and ES, and third singular S and ES. So these, some people mix them up. So plural is one car, two cars. But there again, if a word ends in any of these, instead of S we put ES. If it's a regular plural. So that's the only thing, and everyone knows. I go, you go, he goes. Does he go? Not does he goes. Finished. Simple. And then everyone knows. Now, the point is, we also have, for simple present, something we call like always, usually, right? Because we're talking about habits. We start with never, right? Never, after never. Never means 0%, right?
Yes.
Then, after never. I never go.
Really?
I never go skiing. I never go shopping. No. I will never see her again. I never forget to do my homework. So after never we have rarely. Yes? Hardly. Right? Seldom. After that we have sometimes or occasionally. Sometimes you have occasionally, then sometimes. Then we have usually, often or often, and then always. Some people say at first often, then usually. Always is 100%. Can you give this package to John? Can you give this box to John? Oh, I seldom see him. You better find another person. I seldom see John. I seldom see John. So when I say I seldom see John, I seldom or hardly see John. You see, seldom comes before the main verb here. What time do you usually wake up? I usually wake up at 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Yeah? So usually between the subject and the verb. So it's before the main verb. It's before the main verb. Because these are not only for simple present. I will always remember you. Yes? I will never forget you. Will never forget you. So before the main verb is forget. Before the main verb. I will never forget you. I never forget. So if you want to know where these things, what do we call these things? Never, seldom, sometimes, usually, often, always. What do we call them? They're adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency. So adverbs of frequency in grammar, we always say before the main verb. But you don't need to memorize that. As long as you learn the right sentences, that's right. I always wake up late. I am always late for my class. I will never forgive you. So So adverbs of frequency do not occur only in the simple present tense, but they are one of the major markers of this tense, and they appear before the main verb. I never play hockey. I seldom play golf. Yeah? I usually go to the gym. I sometimes do this. Now, sometimes we put them in a different place. Now, sometimes I can put adverbs of time, like frequency, at the beginning sometimes. Sometimes I think, but usually they're places before the main verb. Now, sometimes they change the structure of the sentence. For example, if I put never at the beginning, or seldom, rarely, hardly at the beginning, the structure of the sentence changes. Never will you see me again. I can say you will never see me again. Never will you see me again. Now, just remember this. This thing in grammar is called inversion, where the structure of the sentence from positive or affirmative changes to negative, to question form. Not negative, question form. Never ever will you see me again. So if I say never will you see me again, rarely will you find a fish like this in such deep waters. So, or in such a deep body of water. By waters, I mean different kinds of water. That's different. So, this is easy again. Let's move on, because now, another thing we use simple present for is for natural facts. The sun rises in the east. Yes? So for habits and also facts, if you want to remember two things for simple present, you remember habits and facts. These are natural physical facts. Natural facts. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Is that correct? The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Water boils by 100 degrees centigrade. It's a natural fact, right?
Yes.
So we don't say water will boil. Water boils by 100 degrees centigrade. The sun rises. Lions roar. Yeah? Horses neigh. The sound of a lion is roar, right? Dogs bark. Woof, woof, right? Dogs bark. Naturally, dogs bark. So, yeah, very simple. Now, how about present continuous or present progressive? How about that? What am I doing right now? I'm teaching. What are you doing? You're listening, studying. He's walking. So that's very easy. So, to be doing something. Now, when we talk about the verb to be, the verb be has both future, present, and past, right? Now, be, present is am, is, are. Future, will be. Past, was or were. But I said to be doing something here, I mean am, is, are for present. So the verb to be has 5 verbs in it. And is usually used as, not as a main verb. Usually used as an auxiliary verb, right? A helping verb. Helping or auxiliary verb. Yes? Because it helps. It's usually used as an auxiliary verb. You can say auxiliary or auxiliary. What are you doing? What is he doing? What is she doing? Very simple, right now. But it also says, now can I also ask you, Mako, what are you doing tonight? Tonight?
Working.
Can I say that? What are you doing this weekend? It's not now, it's about future. It's about tonight. Tonight is not right now, okay? So it's not about at the moment right now. I'm saying, what are you doing tonight? Can I say that, Sako? What are you doing tonight? What are you doing tonight?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah. For plans, not just to be going to, but also this, present continuous. Hey, what are you doing tonight? I call you, Maka, what are you doing tonight?
Work.
Nothing. Now, usually it's a pickup line by guys when they meet a girl, so, hey, what are you doing tonight? Now, if you like the guy, what do you say? Nothing. Why? Nothing. Why? If you don't like the guy? Oh, a lot of things. You know what? Like my sister's coming, my mom is, my friend has a party, I have a lot of homework, I have 3 exams tomorrow, my car just broke down, need to take it to the mechanic. So it's like all the things in the world, right? But if you like that guy, so what are you doing, Asako? Then you would say, nothing special. Why? You're waiting for him to say something. So what are you doing this weekend? I'm visiting a friend. My mom's coming over. My mom is coming. So it's future, but it's near future and it's a plan. So my mom's coming over. We're going to my friend's house. So this is another usage of present continuous. So present progressive, one is, the thing is at the moment, actions in progress, so activities in progress, in progress means at the moment, or future, or near future plan, yeah? Near future plan. What are you doing tonight? What are you doing this weekend? Do you have any plans? Are you going anywhere? Let's go to present perfect. Make it a little tough. How long have you lived in Canada? So, how long have you lived in Canada? I have lived in Canada for a year. For a year and a half. Since last July. Remember, for versus since. What's the difference? For, what is it? For 2 years, for 3 years, for 2 weeks, for 1 day, for a day, for a year. It's about the duration, period, length of time. Since yesterday, since last week, since 2 years ago, since 1996, since last June, point of time, right? Point of time. So for is for duration, whereas since is point of time. Now, the one thing that we need to remember about since, there are a few things about since that we need to remember. I can say since last July, since last Monday, since 2 years ago, 1 point. But sometimes I have a sentence after since. Since I moved to Canada, I have not had a good meal, good Japanese meal, sushi, since I moved to Canada. Can I say since I have moved to Canada? Can I say since I have moved to Canada? Yes. No.
No.
I can't. After since itself, if I want to talk about the time, since yesterday, since the day before, since I moved to Canada, always simple past. Always. Simple past for point of time. Let's remember that. Since I came here, since I saw you, since I was fired, since I got this job, since I left home, since I met John. Yeah? So since, because it's point of time, always simple past. But the other part of the sentence is present perfect. I have lived in Toronto for 2 years. I have lived in Toronto since last year or since I moved to Canada. But I have lived in Toronto since I moved to Canada. Or since I moved to Canada, I have just lived in Toronto. Not since I have moved, or since I was moving, or since I had moved. Since I moved, since I did, since I saw him. So since, point of time, always simple past. I have or haven't done something. Now, when we talk about present perfect, there is usually a graph or like this. So if this is present, if this is future, and this is past, present perfect, I have lived in Canada for 2 years, for 3 years, for 10 years. I have taught English for 20 years. It's something that started in the past. Now the action itself, or its effect, continue to the present, and may continue to the future. So the action itself, or its effect, the action or its effect. Now, usually it's the effect. Have you watched the movie Titanic?
No.
Titanic. Have you watched the film?
I've never watched before.
She has never watched the movie Titanic. I have watched it 10 times. Have you ever been to New York?
I've been to New York
You know what? I would go.
How many times?
once.
Yes, I have. So have you ever been to New York? So I'm like, have you ever done something, right? So the formula is have or has plus what we call past participle. Do, did, done. Have had, had. Yeah, past participle. Go, went,
Gone.
gone. Live, lived, lived. Regular verbs, irregular verbs, right? I have lived here for lived, not. I have lived here for 10 years. Where's John? I don't know. He has already
Gone.
left.
Left.
Leave, left, left. Live, lived, lived. I have lived here for 10 years. For 20 years. I have played soccer for 20 years. I've played baseball for 15 years. Have you read that book? Have you read the life of Bill Gates, for example? Have you read the novel The Wuthering Heights? Have you watched the movie The Pianist? Or Indecent Proposal? Or the name of a movie? Have you ever been to Japan? Have you ever been to Mexico? Have you been to Europe? So, something that started in the past. Yes, I have watched that movie. I watched that movie 20 years ago. But I have watched it because I still remember. So the effects of it continue in the present. I have lived here for 10 years. I may go on living for 20 more years. I don't know. All my life. So. But since versus from before. We know since versus for. How about since versus from? How about since and from? What's the difference? From 1998, since 1998. From, since 1998. What's the difference? I have lived here since 1998. Can I say I have lived here from 1998? I have lived here from 1998. Is it possible? Why not? Since always means until now. Always until now. From is not like that. From past to past. From 1998 to 2010. From last July to June of this year. Yeah? From 1998 to 2003. So in history, we use to, from this time to that time. But we can't say from then until now. So whenever we say since always means until now. Yes? Since 1996, it means until now. Since 2003, it means until now. But from 19... So usually, that's why when we have... for example, when you take the IELTS exam, and then there's a graph, and here is, for example, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you see the prices, for example, here, rise and fall and rise, something like that. You say from 2000 and, for example, 1 to 2002, there was a sharp rise in prices from 2. But then, for example, here is 2015, and for example, now is January the 5th. And then here, from 2005, since 2005, there has been a steady decline in prices. It means since 2005 until now, which is January 2015. There has been a... So since means from whatever time in the past until right now. From some time in the past to some time in the past. Right? Now there's one word, ever since. If you hear the word ever since or see it anywhere, I want you to know that you don't need to mention time after that. People sometimes do, but that's not correct English. So you don't say ever since I saw you or ever since last year. Now, last year I met John. Ever since, my life has been different. My life has been different ever since. Ever since means since then. It means since then. So you are already pointing to a time. Since I met you, my life has completely changed. My life has been different. I met John last year, and ever since. So, Fukushima disaster changed everything in southwestern Japan. Ever since, many people have not returned to their homes ever since. Many people, our life has never been the same ever since. I mean, since then, since that disaster, life is done. So if you ever hear the word ever since, that's what it means. Now I want to move on to present perfect continuous. Present perfect continuous. I have been doing something. So it's have or has been doing something. I've been living. I've been working. I've been studying. Yeah? I've been living here for 10 years, 2 years, 3 years. I've been studying. Now, what is the difference between I have lived and I have been living? Now, with some words such as live, work, play, like that, teach, live, work, play, teach. I have lived and I have been living could be very similar. Like, I have taught English for 20 years, I've been teaching English for 20 years. But, with other words, I have read that book. I have read that book. And I've been reading this book for 10 hours. There's a difference. I have read that book, sometime in the past, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I read that book. But I said, have you read the Huckleberry Finn? The Adventures of Tom Sawyer? Tom Sawyer? Have you read the Shakespeare? Have you read the Bible? Have you read the Jane Austen's famous book? What's that?
Thank you.
Sure. Have you heard of John Nicholas? Have you heard his name? I haven't even heard his name. So have you read that book? Yes, I have. I've read that book sometime in the past. But I've been reading this book for 2 days. It means it's 2 days that I've been reading this book continuously. I've been teaching since this morning. I've been writing. I've been reading. So it means since sometime in the past, continuously to present, and it may continue, but continuously. Whereas present perfect, it's the effects that continue. Oh yeah, I have watched that movie. With present perfect, you can say how many times you've done something. So present perfect, how many times? Number of times. Number of the times. But present continuous, no, because present continuous is continuous. It's continuous. You cannot say how many times you've done something, because it's still ongoing, and it's been ongoing for the duration. I have watched that movie 10 times. I have been to the US twice. I have been to New York City once or twice or 3 times. How many times have you been to New York City? Once, twice, 3 times. I've been living here for 20 years, but I can't say I have lived here, I have been living here 20 times. I have been watching this movie for 3 hours. Can I say, I've been watching this movie for 3 hours. Can I say I have been watching it 3 times? No, because you have been watching it for the duration, continuously, right? The other issue surrounding this is how you pronounce it. So you say, I've been living here. It's basically, I have been living here. So when I say I have been living here for, let's say 10 years, or since 10 years ago, or since 2004, I can say, I've been living here. I've been living, and it's like I've been living here. Because it's like I've been living here. I've been living here. And usually native people don't even pronounce it like that. Say, I've been living here. I've been living here. So I've been living here. I've been studying English. Now that's kind of native and fast, but it's good to say I've been living here. But you hear it, how long have you been smoking? Instead of saying, how long have you been smoking? How long have you been doing that? How long have you been doing that? Like, have you been? Like, you've been. I've been studying English for 10 years. I've been studying English for 20 years. I've been living here forever. I've been playing baseball for 15 years. I've been doing this and I've been doing that. Simple. Yeah? Now,